morning. I know you're all really excited. You're writing your financial goals and setting that up, and Val did an amazing job. What I'm here to talk to you today, hopefully give you some words of wisdom, is on how to land your dream job. And I've been doing this for a long time, 25 years, probably aging myself at this point. But I want to be able to give you some information that hopefully will help you as you choose your careers. A lot of you, I heard law school, and you know that I have my funny story is on my way to law school. I started working in financial services, and that wasn't even where I landed. I actually landed in staffing, executive recruiting, and I absolutely love it. I had the privilege of working for an amazing company with a great culture, and definitely a lot of employee-centric, giving employees an opportunity and developing opportunities. So I got a lot of global opportunity with the company I was with, and now I'm an entrepreneur, and for the past 2.5 years, I have my own executive recruiting firm and part of some wonderful organizations and meeting some fantastic people along the way. So I've been very fortunate in my career path, and hopefully I can pass some information to you that you ladies can leverage. The first thing I want to talk to you about landing your perfect job and blending in those interview tips is, for all of you in this room, I'd love to see you in an internship, because you have all these fantastic goals and you have, you know, this desire to reach them. One of the best ways to do that is to try it out, right? You want to make sure that this is really where you want to be. You know, throughout my career, I've met a lot of people who are, you know, accountants and become senior leaders, and all of a sudden they're like, you know what, I would have been a great engineer. I love process engineering and reorganization, and I should have done that. 45 years later into their career, or 25 years later into their career. So make sure that you do an internship. The other thing that an internship can do for you is it can help you set yourself on the path. So now you're in this internship, it really is what you want to do. You want to be a lawyer? Find a great internship inside a law firm. You want to start your own business and you want to learn about health and organics? Shadow someone who currently has a business. You know, learn a little bit more about the industry, put yourself out there, but definitely align yourself with the internship. I did a lot of college recruiting in the last company that I was with. I actually led the Leadership Path program for the entire service center worldwide. And what I found was I got a lot of really great, passionate people who came in and interviewed with us and wanted to be part of our management training. And along the way, in what they started, they ended up loving something else inside the company. Communications, marketing, you know, the finance side of it. So the service center side of it, the operations side of it. There's a lot of things that an internship can teach you, and a lot of things you can take away. One of the other things an internship can do is give you an idea about where you really want to work. You know, things have changed, you know, from 10, 15 years back. Companies do a much better job of enveloping their culture, their company culture, to make you feel wanted and to make you want to stay. The average time in job is 2 to 3 years. So you want to make sure you're happy those 2 to 3 years, that you're getting what you need from that company in 2 to 3 years, and that you're able to add value in those 2 to 3 years. The ultimate goal, to find your passion, to, you know, immerse yourself in your career and be very happy. Val mentioned something about waking up in the morning and being excited. I get excited every morning knowing that I'm doing what I love, and that it was a dream of mine to start my own business. And like I said, along the way, I found some amazing people who did that for me. So one of the things I want to talk to you today is about how to land the perfect job or internship by interviewing. How many of you have already gone on interviews for jobs? Okay. And I'm sure there's been some challenges, okay? And I'm sure there's been some successes. I will tell you how to prepare yourself for success and how to avoid the challenges or the pitfalls of interviewing. One of the things you want to do is you want to be prepared. You should never walk into an interview without researching the company. you should be able to give at least 1 or 2 specific examples of why you want to work for this company. Could be anything, could be their diversity program. I love the fact that your company does such a great job with diversity. I know that you really add value by being a great corporate citizen, and that you do a lot to involve your employees in outside volunteering experiences and events. I love the fact that this company is global and can give you a global perspective. You need to go into the website. It is a vast value of information you'll find there, and all you have to do is just click that mouse, go in there, take 10-15 minutes the day before your interview. No one should be doing it the morning of, because you won't remember. The other thing you want to do is you want to be prepared. You want to have that job description in front of you. I don't know how many times I've interviewed people who have said, I applied for so many jobs, and can you just tell me a little bit more about the job again? Right there, there's a challenge. There's a difficult situation. You've just showed that you're unprepared. Take a copy of the job description with you if it's an internship, if it's a regular job. You want to make sure that you know what they're looking for, because you're there to sell yourself. You're there to say, I've got the skills and qualifications that you're looking for, and this is why. Okay? The next thing that you want to do is you want to make sure you have a polished resume. It doesn't have to be perfect, but there can be no grammatical errors, because the first thing a recruiter or an HR person will do is they will not bring anyone in or present a resume that has grammatical or spelling errors to a leader, because it looks bad on them that they didn't catch it and now they're putting it forward. So you want to make sure you take care of that. The other thing you want to do is you want to dress for success. I can't emphasize that enough. Even if you know the company has a very laid-back sort of business casual, and people take that to extremes, right? Business casual is not jeans and a t-shirt and a really nice pair of Vans. Business casual is a lot of different things. But for your interview, you want to make a great impression. Ladies, wear a suit. Doesn't have to be pants. Can be a skirt and a jacket. Please invest in yourself. And that's what you're doing here today. Invest in yourself. Make sure that you have the proper attire to walk into an interview. I've turned people away at every single level possible if they're not dressed for an interview. Because the questions will come back to me. That person's not what we're looking for. Why is that person here? How did that person get through the gateway of your team or your department? So you have to make sure that you're dressed for success. So now you're walking into this interview. You've got a copy of your job description. You've got a portfolio or a notebook with you, ready to take notes. You should take notes during an interview. Okay, lets them know that you're listening to them, that you're interested, and you can start the interview with something like, if you don't mind, during the interview, I'm going to go ahead and take some notes. Because everything that's on the job description is not going to be what this person describes to you. And you want to make sure that you take that away. So you're going to have your job description, your resume, you're going to bring plenty of copies. If you have references or awards, you want to bring that as well, especially in college. If you're part of a great organization like Smartte, you want to talk it up. You are doing something to invest in yourself. You are taking that extra step and developing yourself further. Companies like to see that, because guess what? You're going to be a stellar performer. You're going to be the person that I'm going to want to bring in and continue developing and mentoring down the line. You might be my future replacement one day. That's how I hire. I want to make sure the person I'm hiring now is going to be my replacement later on, because I want to move up in the company too. And the only way I'm going to do that is if I hire strong people on my team. So you have to know what people are thinking when they're sitting there interviewing you. Okay? You have to show passion, why you're excited. Body language is extremely important during an interview. You want to make sure that when you're sitting there, you are fully focused on what the person is saying. Okay, not worried that you've got to run off and be in class or do something else. Give yourself plenty of time so you're not rushing. Seem very interested, even if after they talk to you about the job, you're thinking, maybe this isn't the right job for me. Because guess what? I've interviewed people that wasn't the right job for them, and 3 weeks later, my team has called them for something else better, more exciting, and a great opportunity for that person. A good recruiter will do that. So you want to be alert during the interview, you want to take notes. Now you have all this wealth of information because you've researched the company. So hopefully after today, no one in this room will ever sit in an interview where someone will say, do you have any questions for me? And you say, no, I don't. You actually do. You have to have a question because it has to seem that you came prepared. If somebody walks out and says, oh no, you've given me all the information, I'm set, thank you so much, you have to show how you're going to add value. And you can do like a closing statement. For those of you who want to be attorneys, here's your chance to practice. Here's your closing argument. This is why you need to hire me. I am dedicated, passionate, professional. I love to learn. I love to develop myself. I think you have a fantastic organization, and I can't wait to be part of your team. Okay? Another thing you can do also for the interview process is you can ask that person, what's been their career journey? That's a great question. Interviewers love to talk about themselves. And they love to give wealth of information. Why did you join this organization? How long have you been with the company? Why do you love working here? So if you see someone else's passion for why they're working at this company and have such long tenure, you're going to walk away feeling really good about yourself, that you made a really good decision and you went ahead and you applied for this position. And hopefully, you got this job. This is a networking opportunity, ladies. Okay? The minute you get that business card at the end of the interview, or the minute you get that name, you want that person to remember you. Okay? And we go back to opportunities that may come from this one job interview. Okay? And what they may be thinking of. Another thing is, another great question for some of you business majors, how does this align with your business goals? Love that question at any level. Well, if you're hiring me, are you replacing someone? Is this a new position? Are you expanding this department? What are the business goals? How would myself coming into this job, how would I align with the business goals that you have? Very, very good questions. And I will guarantee you they will sit there and you will get a phone call. And they will follow up with you. Because now you're prepared, you are set up for success, and you are showing them that you are very excited because you took the time to put all this together. And they're taking time out of their day, those hiring leaders. It's not their full-time job to interview. The recruiters are, but not the actual hiring leader. So you're kind of saying, listen, thank you for taking time out of your day to sit down and talk to me about this position. I was excited applying, but I'm even more excited now that I've had a chance to learn about the organization, about the job, and how I can add value to your company. Okay? And those are kind of the buzzwords, right? How can I add value? Okay? I don't know how much of that you get in your business class, but you know, I get really excited, you know, college, you know, folks coming out, and they're like, you know, I can't wait to get this job and, you know, make all this money. Well, you know what? How can you add value? And based on what you do and your performance and everything that you do, you'll be noticed. And that's what makes the difference. And that's where that passion and that excitement comes out. Let's talk about some challenges, right? You might get a really bad interviewer. Someone who's sitting in front of their computer and looking at their screen, or their, you know, BlackBerry's going off, and you know they're trying to balance their day and they're really not focusing. Try and take a little bit of control over the situation. You don't want them to lose focus that this stellar person is sitting in front of them. Okay? Do it very in a way that makes them feel, you know what? I took time out of my day and here I am. I have bad interviewers, my leaders, sometimes all the time. I coach them as well. I coach them. Something else that you can do is do a mock interview before you actually walk into the real interview. Have a friend or someone that you know that's currently out there working help you and run a mock-through interview with you. You want to be as prepared as possible so the nerves set in, you feel really confident, and you're putting your best foot forward. Okay? Any questions about any difficult situations or any difficult questions that you get? Yes?
Pertaining to what you said about asking them questions, what if it's more than one, like it's like like a panel, like 3.
Okay.
Like for med school, like they come in, like they interview you,
Okay.
and they're like, you know, what are your goals, like, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna ask each person, like, how do you approach that?
So,
Be a little bit different.
yeah, so if you, one good question to ask to be prepared is, what type of interview will I be having? Is it a one-on-one or is it a panel interview? Okay, and let me tell you a little bit about panel interviews. Nobody wants to be wrong. So that's why there's a panel interview. Because you can look at the other person and say, well, you know, George agreed with me and Bill agreed with me, so we must have hired the right person. You know, so a lot of times they need to have alignment. A lot of times these are people who might be working with you in the department, so they want to see what the job fit is like, what the dynamics will be of the team. So you have to read all of your interviewers a little bit. Walk in, look at them, get an idea of who you're dealing with. One of them will take the lead and ask the questions. That's the person you want to focus on. Then as other folks are asking you questions in the panel, you want to focus on them at that time. But there will always be a lead. Yes?
Well, in cases like that, usually it's people that have different positions inside the different departments, right? So maybe that's
like
how
just for
you can
example, when
approach
I
it.
went to interview for like dual admit, there was like someone from the different colleges, like the arts college, like business, all different facets of the whole university.
Okay.
Just to kind of get an input of where you stand in like your achievements in education.
Okay. So when that happens, again, just try and get as much information as possible and say, who will I be interviewing with? And the recruiter, a good recruiter or a good HR person will give you the names. And guess what? There's LinkedIn. You can look them up. Who is this person that I'm going to be interviewing with? That's the advice I give to all my executives when I send them out. This is who you're interviewing with. Look them up on LinkedIn. Here's a bio. Here's who they are. Here's what they've achieved. So you get an idea of how your journey or your goals or what you're looking to do, this person may have a similar alignment to you. Definitely look up your person and get as much information as possible. Because it's almost a little bit jarring to walk in and see all these people and say, okay, who are you and why are you here? And as they start introducing themselves, they're kind of catching you off guard. Find out who they are ahead of time and look them up. Yes?
What's your advice on group interviews? Because sometimes you have a different dynamic. You'll have like the aggressor, and you have different kinds of people. So what's your advice on that?
You know what? The minute you walk in the room and you're in a group interview, and you mean just one-on-one, you and a couple other folks, or?
Yeah, you and other people that are applying for the job.
You need to stand out.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. You really need to be the one to stand out. So all that information that I've given you now about being prepared is going to make you stand out. Not everyone would have done all of their homework before to get to that point to be able to ask some really great questions. When we've had group interviews, the folks that have stood out and that we've called back are the ones that are prepared and ask questions about the company. I saw that your stock did very well yesterday. I heard that you announced that this product is launching. That's really great. How do you think that'll affect, this particular job that we're interviewing for? Is it going to be a busier time? Is there going to be more training for the product? I'm really excited. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? And the person there should be able to do that. Yes?
Obviously, it's good to show your enthusiasm and passion for a certain area or that company. But what if the interviewers are looking at your resume, let's say, and they're focusing on all your faults or why were you only here for this amount of time, or what if they point out everything and it puts you on the defensive side throughout the entire interview? How do you try to bring it back to the positive? Or
so that's a really great question. How to turn a negative into a positive. So if someone were to look at your resume and say, well, you've only been here 6 months, why did you leave? Right now, you're all in a really great time of your life, right? What are you doing? You're exploring opportunities. You're taking jobs because you're going to school full time. There's what we call justification, okay? And maybe that's something you can throw out to them to say, let me go ahead and walk you through why I was at that job 6 months. I took that job because my schedule changed at school and I was able to work around it with this job, and it really was fantastic. But next semester was different, and I needed to, change that in order for me to get the classes I couldn't get before. and say it should not show that I'm not a stable employee. It should actually show that I'm considerate to my employer because I want to make sure that they have the coverage that they need. You just turned a negative into a positive. That's a really, really good question. Yes?
Just to go off that one, what if they're focused on numbers, like test scores, GPA, and they see that if they might be lower than what they wanted, how do you break past that and show how confident you are in your abilities besides just a number?
So that's a really great question. So that's something that you kind of need to sit down and walk yourself through and say, my GPA is this, they may focus on that, and I'm assuming these are jobs strictly for the college, and they are going to focus on that. What we would do is we had a requirement of a 3.0 for our management training program. And sometimes we'd hire kids that didn't have a 3.0, that were lower than a 3.0. And what was a determining factor for us is their ability to show us during the interview how passionate they were about what they wanted to do. And it could have been that you took more labs than you should have. It could have been that you wanted to do more hands-on research than you should have. So there's always a way to go back to that and say, I was so passionate about this that what I did was I took a little bit more time on the hands-on approach, and maybe the academic approach I put a little bit in the back burner. But that doesn't mean that I'm not here today in front of you to tell you that I can be an asset, to your group. Yes.
And after you've done all this preparation, let's say, and they surprise you with something they did not expect, how do you respond to that?
Give me an idea of something that would surprise you.
If it's a job that requires a certain level of knowledge in a particular field, for example, and you prepared with everything else, the knowledge of the company, how to work, and so forth, but they ask you a textual question, something that you should know from that field, and yet you don't know it. How do you respond?
So I love those. Those are called situational or behavioral questions, okay? A situational or behavioral question, what it does is really to find out what you would do if you were in that job and how your past behaviors in other jobs can help you be successful in this job. And it is a pass or fail kind of question. It really, really is. I like to say it's not, but it is. What you need to do, and that's why I say bring your notebook, is say, can you repeat the question? Take a little bit more time and say to yourself, okay, how am I going to align this? What's the situation, right? What was the action that I took or that I need to take? And what is the result? Okay? So that's a behavioral, what's called STAR, but without the STAR, SAR, SAR, the situation, the action, and the result. What they want to know is, what was the result? Very important to be specific about your action, but more importantly, what was the result? A lot of times we get really excited to answer the question, we're a little bit nervous, and we say, well, the result was we gained 25% more productivity in that department based on my actions and handling the situation the way that I did. Fantastic, but you have to give results. That's what's going to make the difference on how successful you are answering that question. Always give an action, be specific about the situation, be specific about the action you took, and more importantly, give a result.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the acronym STAR, situation?
Oh, SAR, it's a SAR, S-A-R. I take it with the T.
SAR, okay.
The situation, the action, and the result, because that's really what we're looking for. Give me the situation, what was the action that you took, which is how you handled it, and more importantly, what was the result? Did you gain something from it? Did you learn something from it? And what was the result to the company? Because at the end of the line, what was the bottom line to the organization? Yes?
I have a little bit complicated question. Well, I just want to know how much time the recruiter or whoever's going to interview spends on your resume. Because sometimes, there are situations when you come in and they're like, whoa, I thought you did this, or I thought you wrote press releases, but, oh, we thought you did. So then I want to ask them, well, how much time did you spend on my resume and then my information for me coming in
Right.
and getting an interview?
So, there's good recruiters and there's bad recruiters. Hopefully I've hired all the good recruiters and trained them. Unfortunately, you'll have situations that you'll come in, and sometimes it's a numbers game. Sometimes they want to get as many people in the door as possible, and you just happen to be that. So your question should be, here's my job description, right? Here's where I highlighted exactly what you're looking for. Based on the job description, that's how you counter that. Based on the job description, this is what I thought the position was. I was not aware that you needed me to have experience writing press releases. Has the position changed or the job description changed since we last spoke on the phone yesterday?
So it's okay to kind of turn it out and make seem them being negative?
Well, no, you never want it to turn it around and see negative because that's the end of the interview. Because remember, that person sitting there saying, I'm the subject matter expert, I brought you in because I looked at your resume, I thought you were great. But if they say, I thought, you wrote some press releases because you're here for an internal communications job, but it's on your resume, or you can look at my resume, your resume and say, it's not on my resume, but I brought the job description with me. Let me go ahead and pull it out, and then you can go through the job description with them, and then maybe that'll say to them, oh, you're absolutely right. We weren't requiring that much experience in writing press releases. Okay? So that's how you turn it around in a very positive way. You never want to sit there and go, well, that's not what you told me over the phone, or that's not the job description, because that's the end of the interview.
No, I'm saying when they turn it around to be negative towards you, not me towards them.
Right. You turn that negative that they're doing it towards you into a positive.
Okay.
Because you want to make them feel good that they brought you in. They made the right decision, right? They brought you in. It's a really good decision. You're a good hire. But there might be a technicality. That technicality may be, okay, here's the confusion around the job description. Let me pull it out so that you can see. That's why it's important that you get information, because the job description is not usually 100% of what the actual job is. They can't fit everything in. And that includes dynamic, which you can't put in there. They can say, I'm looking for a dynamic, fast-paced, passionate person. What does that mean? We're all dynamic, we're all passionate, but what does it mean to the job, right? And that's when you find out the information. Okay? So ladies, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share some of my pearls of wisdom.